Kadosh, Boker Or Moadim Simcha. Daf Yomi Masechet Makkot Daf Tet Amud Aleph 9A1 says the Gemara. We're by the two dots, 4 lines down, where the Gemara says Chutz me'alidei ger toshav. Says the Gemara, Alma ger toshav ovet kochavimu. A ger toshav is like a goy, right? So he says like ovet kochavim. Ema seifa. The seifa says ger toshav golel lidei ger toshav. A ger toshav is going to be goleh through another ger toshav. So what's going on then? An ovet kochavim doesn't go to galut. What's the pshat? A ger toshav is basically somebody that's living in the land of Israel that he accepts upon himself the Sheva Mitzvah ben Noach, but that's called the ger toshav, right? He's like a toshav, he's like a resident, right? But he's a ger toshav. He's not a convert. He didn't convert to Judaism. So says the Gemara. So what's going on? Is he like a ovei kochavim or not? So Amar Rav Kana answers like a on a question. Kam beger toshav shara ger toshav. Kam beger toshav shara gisai. We're talking about a ger toshav that killed another ger toshav. And here, when we said that you're going to be patur, it's talking about a ger toshav, right? That's when you're going to be a ger toshav, right? That killed the Yisrael, that he doesn't go to galut, because galut cannot be mechaper on him. So if he kills another, if a Yisrael kills the ger toshav, he does go to galut, right? But if the ger toshav kills the Yisrael, then no. So some people, they actually ask the contradiction in the psukim. Why? For the Bnei Israel, the ger and the toshav, they're going to have the shesharim, the 6 arei miklat. This is the 6 cities of refuge. What is lachem? Lachem lo legenim. So it's for you. It's not for the ger toshav. So what's going on then? Samar Rav Kana says like a question. Kam beger toshav sharag Yisrael. Here we're talking about ger toshav that killed the Israel. So therefore galut does not mechaper. So therefore that's he doesn't go to galut. Kam beger toshav sharag ger toshav. But if a ger toshav killed another ger toshav, he could go to galut. So meaning we have a contradiction. Lefichach, therefore, ger ve'ovet kochavim she'argu. If you have a ger toshav or a goy that comes and kills even b'shogeg, they're killed. Ktani ger dum yedove kochavim. So ger is like a odove kochavim. Just like odove kochavim, there doesn't make sense. Lo shnad de katil mir b'minev lo shnad. Doesn't matter who he killed, he gets killed. So to here, so to a ger, lo shnad de katil b'minev lo shnad. Doesn't matter who he killed. Ne'erag, he gets killed. Meaning, if kapara does not help, because an atonement of the galut does not help, so the only thing is death that could help. So even though he killed accidentally, but he should get killed, right? Because galut is not mechaper. Some Rav Chasta says like a question. Kan shar go derech yirida, kan shar go derech aliyah. It all depends how he killed. Derech aliyah or derech yirida. Derech yirida, when we're talking about derech yirida downwards, Yisrael gale, that the Yisrael is going to get, right? He says that Yisrael goes to galut. So then it's going to be enough for him also to go to galut, because it was derech yirida. Meaning, since he killed the same way like a Yisrael that he would get galut, so therefore it's going to be okay. But if he did it derech aliyah, a Yisrael is going to be patur. He says here he's going to be ne'erag. Here he's going to be killed. So Elmaleh Rava says, 1 second, I don't understand you. Velav kal v'chomer? It should be a kal v'chomer. He says, what's a kal v'chomer? Uma derech yirida di Yisrael gale. If it's going to be derech yirida by a Yisrael, he goes to galut. He should also go to galut. Derech aliyah, when we're talking about derech aliyah, the Yisrael patur, the Yisrael is going to be a patur. Iyu ne'erag, he's going to get killed. What's going on? Elamar Rava, but rather Rava says, behomer mutar. He thought it was mutar to kill. Meaning, when he went and he killed, he said, listen, I thought it was mutar to kill. So therefore, since he thought it was mutar, he's still going to be chayav mita. But if he killed derech aliyah, he's not going to be chayav mita, and therefore he doesn't go to galut. Okay, that means basically we changed. We thought that when he gets killed, is going to be derech aliyah. No. It's omer mutar that he's going to get killed, right? Because he just, imagine, okay, he killed. I thought it was mutar to kill. You're going to kill him. So that's the omer mutar, that he's going to be killed. So Amaleh Abaye says, what are you talking about? Omer mutar is anusu. When somebody comes and he says that he thought it was going to be mutar, that's considered force majeure. That's anus. Anus is even less than shogeg. So Elmaleh says, Ani Omer, I hold that mutar is karov mezidu. That it's actually going to be karov mezid. It's not a force majeure. It's even more. It's more like mezid, not even like shogeg. Okay. When they go according to the reasonings, it was stated. Kesavur be'ema v'nimtza adam. If he thought it was a be'ema and it was found to be an adam, right? Kenani v'nimtza ger toshav. Rava says you're going to be chayav, right? Omer mutar karov mezidu. And Rav Chasta says it's going to be patur. Why? Omer mutar anusu, which means like this. You went and you killed someone. You thought that the person was a Kanani and really was a ger toshav, right? Or you thought it was an animal and it was a human being. So in such a case, right, there's going to be a machlok between Rava and Rav Chasta. Are you going to be chayav? Or are you going to be patur? right? Is it going to be karov mezid, or is it going to be an ones? Is it going to be considered like force majeure? So eitvei Rav Rav Chasta asked Rav to Rav Chasta, Hincha meta leisha shelakachta. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells Avimelech, you're going to die because you took the wife, right, that you took. Ma'alev b'di adam doesn't mean that you're going to be killed through a human being, meaning that he thought it was mutar, and he's still going to be killed. So you see from here that omer mutar is karov lemezid. It's almost like you did it purposely. Everyone knows what we're talking about, yeah? No, Avimelech took Sarai Menu. Avimelech comes and he took Sarai Menu. Now, he didn't know that she was an Eshetish. He didn't know. He thought it was a sister. So he says, what? I didn't know. He said, yeah, but this comes out that Omen Mutar, if you say that it's Mutar, it's Karov the Mezid. It's almost like a Mezid. So there's a proof that he was going to be killed. Right? Why? But in the hands of a human being. And says the Gemara, no, he wasn't going to be killed by a Betin. He was going to be killed by Shamayim. That's something. Bidei Shamayim, not Bidei Adam. So that cannot be diktani. That's why we do Steve. It's said in the pasuk, right? You're going to sin against me. And according to you, he says, 1 second. What about Yosef Tzaddik? Yosef Tzaddik comes and he tells the wife of Potiphar, how am I going to come and sleep with you? I sin against God. What, I sin against God and not against a human being? If he sleeps with a married woman, it's not against a human being as well. You're right. He says it's given to a bedin shelmata. So 2 years it's going to be given to a bedin shelmata. Okay, which means that over there it's going to be, that's what the pshat, the chatati lelokim, that there if a person comes and he commits adultery, it's going to be given to a bedin shelmata, that they're going to punish the person, right, for doing that. So Eitvei Abai is now going to come and ask on Rava from the answer of Avimelech, Hagoigan tzaddik tarog, you're going to kill a tzaddik? So what? He's calling himself a tzaddik. That means Omer mutar, he's still a tzaddik. So he says, no, Hatam Kidikamadri Veleve. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him. Fatav Shevesh Etish Kinavihu. You have to come and you have to give him back because of the wife of a Navi. Why, you only have to give him back because of the Navi? What's going on? Right? Tetamubet. Eshet Navi, only because he's a Navi, you have to give him back. But if he's not a Navi, you don't have to give her back? What's going on? Meaning, you only have to give her back because she's the wife of a Navi? Ela, but rather, like Rav Shmuel ben Nachmani, Rav Shmuel ben Nachmani, Yonatan, Hachi Kamerle. This is what he said. You always have to give back the wife. Now you went and you said, Navihu. He's a Navi. He learned from you. When he comes, you ask him about food and drink. Right? But you're going to ask him if it's an ishtecha? You're going to ask him. From here we learn, if you could learn, the fact that you didn't learn and you were able to learn, you're killed. Because you could have learned. And you didn't learn. Are you listening? You could have learned. The fact that you didn't learn, he's killed. That's a Ben Noach. Ben Noach is going to be killed because he could learn. What does that mean? He answered him. He knew. What?
Nobody's supposed to don't know the law.
Exactly. So the same thing, meaning this Ben Noach, he was an Avi. He comes and he says, you're asking about the woman. Why are you asking him? He knows that you want to be with him. So what's he going to tell you? No, sister. Why? He doesn't want to. He thinks you're going to kill her. Okay? Fine. Mishnah. Tetamubet. 9b. Yeah? 9b. Nuf B. Yeah? Right? Asuma. Right? A person that comes and he's blind. Eno gole. He doesn't go to Galut. These were the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Mino Mer, gole. Rabbi Mino says, no, he doesn't go to Galut. Hasoneh. The one that hates. He doesn't go to Galut. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Rabbi Yosef says, Hasoneh Nerag. He's going to be killed. Even but he's like already warned. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, yes, soneh shegole. Yes, soneh shene gole. There's a soneh that goes to Galut. There's a soneh that doesn't go to Galut. This is a general rule. If we could say that he killed purposely, he doesn't go to Galut. Why? Because he probably killed purposely. But if we know that it looks that he didn't do it purposely, he doesn't go to Galut. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Belo reot, that you didn't see. Pralesuma, this comes to exclude a suma, blind person. These are the words of Yudah. Rabbi Mino, when he says, no, Belo reot says that a bot suma is coming to include the suma, right? Which is incredible. The same pasuk is either coming to exclude a blind person or including a blind person. So he says, my time, what's the reasoning of Yudah? He says what? When it says that you go into the forest, the blind person could go in the forest. So therefore, so therefore the word belorot comes to exclude the suma. It excludes it. Rabbi Meir, beloreot comes to exclude, right? The suma. Bivlidat is also coming to exclude. It's an exclusion after an exclusion. A double negative equals a positive. So therefore, since a double negative equals a positive, so therefore it's coming to include a suma. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, bivlida prad mitkavenu data. He says no, bivlida doesn't come to exclude a suma. It's coming to exclude a mitkaven when you're doing it bechavana. Okay. Next, Rabbi Yosef says a soneh is going to be killed. Somebody that hates. Says the Gemara, but you didn't do atra. So he says matnit Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah is like Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Omer, chaver eno tzarich atra. You don't need atra. Lefi shelo nitra atra ela lavchin ben shogim. A person that's a wise man, like a Tamil Chacham, you don't need hatra. Hatra is to tell you to differentiate between by accident and purposely. Here you don't need that. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, it all depends. Sometimes you're gonna have a sonnet that gets killed, and sometimes no. Tanya, we learned to the writer. Kate said, what's the case? Amar Rabbi Shimon says Rabbi Shimon, yes sonnet shegole v'yesh sonnet gole, nifsak gole. What happens if the string snaps? And all of a sudden the barrel falls down and kills somebody, right? And it's his enemy. He goes to galut. Nishmat, if it slips out of his hand, he doesn't go to galut. Why? Because oops, it slipped. We know those ones. Yeah, you know, he can't make it snap in the middle, right? But he could make it slip very easily. So the making it slip, he doesn't go to galut. He gets killed probably because again, if it's going to be the other one, it's going to be he goes to galut. So he's never going to go to galut until mamash the magela comes and it slips out of his hand, right? Kasha nifsak nifsak, kasha nishman nishmat. So here's the contradiction between if it snaps and it snaps, or if it slips and it slips. So he says no. Nishmat and nishmat is not a question. It all depends whether he loves him or not. Meaning, if it's a guy that you like, and all of a sudden now it slipped out of your hand, you still go to galut. If it's an enemy, you don't go to galut. Nishmat and nishmat or nifsak and nifsak is not going to be a question, but you have the different brackets, right? So nifsak and nifsak lo kashia ha Rabbi ha Rabbanan. It's a machlok between Rabbi and Rabbanan. If you remember, we talked about Rabbi and Rabbanan to do with the concept of that that's the actual chefetz of the common your hand was that to be something that's coming out from the wood in itself. So each one according to their shitot.
Old rock or new rock or
The Hechal Golim, where do they go to Galut? To the Miklat. Shalosh ve'ever Yarden, there's going to be three across the Jordan River. Ul shalosh ve'eretz Canaan and three in Eretz Yisrael. Shneimar b'zeh b'pasuk shalosh yarim tidum ve'ever Yarden ve'shalosh yarim tidum ve'eretz Canaan. Ad shelo nivcharu shalosh ve'eretz Yisrael lo yu shalosh ve'ever Yarden kultot. Until the three in Eretz Yisrael were not chosen, the three in Eretz Yisrael did not take into effect as well. Shneimar shesh arei miklatin alechem. There have to be six. At shesh sheshtan kolto ke'achat. Until everything was going to be together. They had drachim from one place to another. Shneimar which means that they had to have paths, clear paths going directly from one ir miklat to another ir miklat, right to the close one. So therefore, they always used to make sure that there was always like a clear path to go to the ir miklat. They used to come and they used to give them two talmidei chachamim to accompany them, right, just in case they're going to come and kill them on the path. And they're going to try to appease the goel adam. Rabbi Mi says, "Who medaber al idei atzmo?" He should speak from himself. Shneimar v'zeh devar harotzeach. These are the words of the rotzeach, which means he should speak from himself. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says, "But techila at the beginning, echad shogeg ve'echad mezid makdimim miklat. Everybody used to run to the main miklat. Betin sholchim u'mavino tov sham. Then the betin used to come and bring them. Mi shepetru, the one that gets petur, mitzayni the galut, machzirin to lemikomo. Whoever becomes patur, it's patur. Whoever is going to be chayav, he has to go back to his place. Shneimar ve'shivu et hayadai li miklato. They're going to bring him back to the yid miklat. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Shalosh harim ivdil Moshe be'Yarden. Who was the one that separated in the Eretz Yisrael? Not Eretz Yisrael, sorry, Ever Yarden. Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses was the one that separated in Ever Yarden. Right, Yoshua bin Nun was the one that separated in Eretz Yisrael. So it was like two rows in the vineyard. Chevron b'Yehuda keneged Betzel b'Midbar. You had Chevron in Yehuda, opposite Betzel, right, in the Midbar. Shechem b'Ad Ephraim keneged Ramot b'Gilad. Rekedesh b'Ad Naphtali keneged, meaning that it's going to be parallels. Okay, they're going to have right on the sides. Shilashta, what is Shilashta? Shum Shulashim. That it has to be Mishulash, 3 kavim, right, to the orach of, right, from the east to west. Right, that's going to be from north to south. She'edarom lechevron, kemechevron l'Shechem, mechevron l'Shechem, kemeshechem lekedesh, Shechem Kedesh can be Kedesh Tzafon, which means that each one is going to be equal in distance, right? So you have the distance from, right, the Gvul of the Darom and Eretz Yisrael to Hebron, just like the Hebron is going to be the distance of Shechem, and from the Hebron to Shechem is going to be the same distance from Shechem to Kedesh, and Shechem to Kedesh is going to be the same from Kedesh to the Tzafon of Eretz Yisrael. So each one is going to be the same distance between them. Okay, Be'ever Yeden Tlat, Eretz Yisrael Tlat. How does that make sense? Ever Yeden, how many tribes did you have in Ever Yeden? You had three tribes. It's really even 2.5, but let's even 3 tribes. You're going to say, right? Doesn't make sense. You have 3 tribes, which is going to be Reuven, Gad, and Chetzi Sheva Menashe. So let's even call it 3, even though it's 2.5, right? So it's Reuven and Gad, and then half of Sheva Menashe, and you're going to need the other 3 for 9. What proportion is that? Think about the proportion. You have 3 cities of refuge for 3 tribes, and then you have 3 cities of refuge for 9 tribes. Or it's even 9.5, right? Doesn't make sense. Answers the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Bigilad Shchiche Rotzchim. Right? And on the Ever Yeden, there were a lot of murders. Right? Yeah, yeah. So Dichtib says the Pasuk, Gilad Kiryat Poale Aven, Akuba Midam, Maya Akuba Midam, Bazar Shayu Okvin La Rog Nefashot. They were murders. So because they were murders, that's why they needed, right, an extra amount of, right, of cities of refuge in the Ever Yeden.